go. All right. So we're just talking about the statements. We just looked at the income statement. It is September 26th, Tuesday. We just looked at the income statement accounts, the service revenue, all the expenses, and we just looking at the retained earnings statement. Okay. So I want you guys to practice a retained earnings statement for Ajax Company. Okay. Beginning balance is $2,000. I'll give you the data. Beginning balance is $2,000. Dividends are 0. So we'll leave this sample one up. Dividends are 0. And net income for Ajax, let's see if we have that. Here we go. Net income is $3,000. Okay. So I'll put that in the chat. So we're going to say beginning balance is 2,000. Dividends equal 0. Okay. Let's see if you can use this as a sample and tell me what the ending balance for Ajax is. Use this one as a sample. So what would it look like? Okay. Give me the ending balance. Henry, you're correct. Anybody else? So basically, you're just using this formula, but you were applying it for different numbers. What's the ending balance for retained earnings for Ajax? Nora, you're correct. Jocelyn, correct. Yay, you guys are getting it. Okay. All right, you guys are correct. So let's look at, did I put a solution there? Yes, I did. So beginning balance, sometimes it's 0 if it's a new company. If it's not a new company, you got to use your ending balance, your new balance. Plus net income, 3,000, less dividends, 0, ending balance, 5,000. Okay. And you can see for Ajax, this was their income statement. That 3,000 net income comes right over here for on the statement of retained earnings. Okay. All right. So next on topic is the balance sheet. And when we get to chapter 2, we're going to change the balance sheet and add even more detail and subtotals. But for right now, you just have assets, liabilities, and stockholders' equity. Okay. So something you need to know about the balance sheet is the accounting equation. Let's see if I have it here. Right here. Assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. So this 33,860 and this 33,860 are why we call it a balance sheet. Total assets are the same number as liabilities and stockholders' equity. Okay. So what is an asset? We've got 5 different accounts here for assets. Under liabilities, we've got 4 accounts, and under stockholders' equity, for the whole of accounting 201, we're only going to have 2 accounts. So whenever you create a balance sheet, when you get to stockholders' equity, you're only going to have 2 accounts. There are more accounts in stockholders' equity, but there are more accounts, but you don't have to learn them until accounting 202. Okay. So that section's pretty straightforward. Stockholders' equity, common stock, retained earnings. Okay. Now remember, this is outdoors. So ending balance on its statement of retained earnings was 6,040. And we take that number and it comes right over to the balance sheet. So we had to calculate the new ending balance every time we produce statements. So companies typically produce financial statements once a month. Okay. So first you do income statement, then you do retained earnings, and then you do this big balance sheet. Okay. So let's talk about what is an asset? What does it mean to be an asset? You have to have a future value, or you have to be cash. So cash, or something that's going to turn into cash really quickly. So cash is always listed first. Order is important. Accounts receivable. Does anybody know what accounts receivable is? Who knows what that is?
Is that like money you will get from customers?
Correct. Yeah. So if you sell something to a customer, and you send them a bill, so you ship them a pair of shoes and you say you owe $30, no credit cards involved, right? But when companies do business with other companies, they don't use a credit card. They have a billing system. And that gives the company time to make sure they have the money in the account to pay. So that you don't always have to have the money up front. So let's say Jimmy Choo sends many pairs of shoes to Nordstrom. They're going to just invoice Nordstrom, and Nordstrom is going to pay the bill 30 days later. And so for Jimmy Choo, the seller, that would be their accounts receivable. That would say, my customers owe us for these shoes. Okay. Supplies would be things that supplies are things that the company consumes inside the company. So that could be things like printer cartridges, printer paper. It could be batteries. It could be anything that they're using up. Supplies are not something we sell to customers. We use it up internally. Inventory, which I don't have listed here. Inventory is something a company buys and then resells to a customer. Okay. All right. Prepaid insurance. Typically when we pay our insurance bill, we pay it for the next 6 months, our car insurance. And so that's how we know, yeah, we have it in the current month, but we also have it for the next 5 months. So it has a future value. Okay. Equipment could be a truck, could be land, could be a building, could be equipment. Okay. So I'm listing equipment here, but you could also have an account called land. You could also have an account called building. All right. So all of these things. So how does equipment turn into cash? It doesn't turn into cash, but it helps the company. Remember, this is outdoor company. It helps the company generate revenue, create revenue. So let's say they have a van. How does a van help create revenue? A van helps create revenue because it drives people to the hiking spot or the kayaking spot or the rafting spot. And those people are paying money to go on the tours. Okay. All right. So think of assets, they have a future value. They haven't been consumed, they haven't been used up. Liabilities are things the company owes money for. And these 4 liabilities are all ending in the word payable. And that should be self-explanatory. This is payable. The company has to pay this. Okay. So accounts payable are when a company buys something and has to pay for it later. Notes payable, same thing, but with interest. Salary and wages payable are for our employees. And long-term note payable is more than 1 year. Okay. All right. So just to review, assets, things of value owned by the company. It's a result of past transaction and it's going to generate future revenue. Like cash, like inventory, again, we're going to resell it. Furniture in a restaurant. Okay. Liabilities is what the business owes to its creditors. So again, if Nordstrom buys shoes from Jimmy Choo, they owe money to Jimmy Choo for the shoes. That's an accounts payable. If Jimmy Choo says Nordstrom owes us money, that's an accounts receivable. All right. Another word for stockholders' equity is net worth. You may have heard that term. So the calculation for net worth is just assets minus liabilities equals stockholders' equity. It's the residual claim against the asset. So what that means is if the company goes bankrupt and if there's any money left over, it'll be given back to the stockholders. All right. So the accounting equation is, we use it a lot. Assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. Okay. The balance sheet is the accounting equation broken down by the accounts in the categories. And what you need to know is the title here is as of. We want to know what the cash balance is as of July 31st. Okay. We want to know what is in our equipment account as of July 31st. It doesn't make sense to say for a period of time. We just want a snapshot, a view right now. Okay. So here's some more accounts to go over. So your job is to make some flashcards of all the accounts you're learning and then just categorize them as best you can as an asset, liability, stockholders' equity, or a revenue account, or an expense account. Okay. Or in the case of dividends, neither. It's none of those accounts. Okay. All right. So let's look at this. So under assets, we've talked about cash, accounts receivable. We've talked about prepaid insurance. Prepaid rent works the same way, where you prepay rent maybe for a couple months, first and last month's rent. That last month is prepaid. And then land, building, equipment. Okay. I've already talked to you about stockholders' equity, only two accounts, common stock retained earnings. And then liabilities, you'll see I've got payable, and then I've got debt. So long-term debt means debt the company owes, money the company owes that's they have to pay back in a period longer than 1 year. Okay. Current portion of long-term debt would be like, let's say the company borrows $500,000 and every year they have to pay back $100,000. That would be the current portion, and then the $400,000 would be the long-term portion. Okay. Unearned revenue. Oh my goodness. That's the one liability account that ends in revenue, but it is a liability. Okay. So this is a special situation. And unearned revenue would be if a customer prepays for something. So let's say a customer says, you are the customer and you want to go to Disneyland and you buy a ticket from Alaska Airlines to Orange County. I think that's the closest to Disneyland. Okay. So let's say you do that. Well, you have paid Alaska Airlines for that ticket. And let's say you're traveling at Christmas time in December. So how much is a ticket to LA? Let's say it's $300. You got a good deal. So you paid Alaska Airlines $300. They can't call it a sale in September. And so you paid it today. They can't call it a sale until December after that plane flight. Up until that time, they owe you a plane trip. Okay. So for between now and the time that they provide the trip, they put that money into unearned revenue. We got the money, but we haven't earned it yet because we haven't provided the service. So for Alaska Airlines, it's a liability. Does that make sense? They owe you a plane flight. So when you go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, does that make like accounts receivable and unearned revenue kind of the same?
Great question, though. They do seem the same, right? Accounts receivable says, we're going to bill you after we provide the service. So we don't do that for airline travel. So let's think of another example. Let's say you go to a restaurant, they bill you after they feed you. They don't say to you, we'll bring your food, but you have to pay us first, right? So it's after the event has occurred. So typical thing would be ordering inventory, or maybe a computer repair person comes to your house and fixes your computer, and then they send you the bill. Okay. So that's an asset to a company. They say, oh, our customers owe us money. We provided the service, but they haven't paid yet, but they owe us money. Unearned revenue, the customer prepays for an event. So from a company point of view, they would love to have all their customers prepay. But as customers, we don't want to prepay. We want our service first. So, all right. So we also have the statement of cash flows here. I'm not testing you on it. You are not responsible to know it, but what I do want to draw your attention to is it has those same 3 sections that we started out chapter 1. Cash from operations, cash from investing, cash from financing. We are going to study cash flow in depth in Accounting 202, and it's covered in depth in chapter 13. So we'll just wait for that. All right. Okay, give me which financial statements, go ahead and abbreviate them as IS, RE, and BS. Which financial statements are for a period of time? And the answer could be more than one. Okay, I'll give you a second to work on that. Oh, you didn't need a second to work on that. You guys got it. Great. Okay. Yeah, income statement and retained earnings. And of course, which one's for a specific date? You guys are getting faster in your responses. I love that. Okay. Okay. Real quick, what's the answer to this? No worries. Had somebody at my door. Yes, yes. Yes, Henry. Yes, Nora. So remember the accounting equation. Assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. So you're just subtracting to get the other number. All right, yes. 3,000. Now, we did this in class. I don't want to take your time, but I do want you to tell me. You can just shout it out loud if you want. Accounts payable, A, L, or S-E. A, L, or S-E, accounts payable. Just call it out. Henry is not calling, but he is correct. Anybody else? You can say it out loud or you can put it in the chat. What is accounts payable?
Is it the balance sheet?
I want to know what category it is. It's all balance sheet.
Oh,
Asset, liability, or stockholders' equity.
it's a liability.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Next one, accounts receivable, asset, liability, or stockholders' equity. Henry, you're correct. Anybody else? Accounts receivable. Nora, you're correct. So let's go back and look at the statement, the sample statement. Oops. Accounts receivable has a future value. It's money that we're going to collect from our customers, so it's an asset. Cash. What account is that? What account is cash? Asset, liability, stockholders' equity. Oh, you got it. Okay, Nora, you got it. All right. What about common stock? And you can abbreviate, just say AL or SE. Henry, you're correct. So you can see a lot of what we're going to be studying for the next few chapters has a lot of just memory. It's like learning Spanish or French or any other language. Okay. So common stock, we've got one correct answer. Anybody else? Asset, liability, or stockholders' equity. Yeah. Oh boy, that's you spelled the whole thing out. Okay. Notes payable. A, L, or S-E. Yay. Okay. Liability. And finally, retained earnings. Notes payable is a liability. And retained earnings, yes. Jocelyn, yes. Henry, yes. And the faster you guys can respond, and that's why I'm saying this is, I don't know if you guys can see this. This says advertising expense. Okay. Just make yourself some flashcards, write the account on one side. And then on the other side, you can write category, expense, income statement. You can see it there, income statement and expense. Okay. So nothing substitute. You cannot rush memorizing vocabulary terms. You just can't. And then here's the balance sheet for Ajax. Okay. All right. So the rest of the chapter has to do with corporate social responsibility and the sections of the annual report. And when we get to our project, you're going to be using annual report. So we're running out of time here. So I'm going to jump over social responsibility, which I love because it talks about looking at companies and measuring companies, not just on profit, but also on environmental and social performance. So please read it. Elements of an annual report. So any public company has to produce an annual report, and we get to see it. If you're a private company, you don't have to share it with anybody but a banker or an owner. But for a public company, you have to, and we will go out to the Security and Exchange Commission website and we will find those reports for your companies. But it always includes financial statements, which you've just learned, management discussion and analysis, notes to the financial statements, and the auditor's report. Every public company has to be audited by an outside accounting firm, certified public accounting firm. And then the auditor says, hey, these financial statements fairly represent what we saw at the company. They're good. Okay. If you're bored, I told the class today, if you're bored, read an annual report. And we're going to work for our project number one. We're going to work with business and risk factors, do some internal research on the company. But for here, I'm showing you management discussion and analysis of financial conditions and results of operations. That's fancy language for what does the balance sheet say and what does the income statement say? And do we talk about the trends. Okay. So it also says, and that's number 3. The company also says the management. No, don't worry about that yet. Eliana, that's a good question though. Which assignment are you talking about, Ollie? I just got a note from Eliana. Which assignment are you talking about?
This one says the team summary deadline one. It was the one that's due for tonight.
Oh, the team summary. Each of you are going to post your rankings on the 5 arguments. This is for another class. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
You don't need to have a meeting tonight. No. Yeah, just take your 5 arguments and post them. What you think was the strongest argument to the weakest argument. So sound good? All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You betcha. All right. So company's ability to pay near-term obligations, company's ability to fund operations. So let's think about that. you're trying to decide if you should invest in a company, and you want to know that they can fund day-to-day operations and any expansion. And then they talk about the income statement. Okay. And they pretty much have to disclose the good news and the bad news about the company and any uncertainties, like if they're in a lawsuit, or if they have, I know with Starbucks, one of the big concerns they always had to put in was the global coffee supply was limited. And so that was a risk for them. Okay. All right. So here's Chipotle, management discussion and analysis. Here's their operationals and so forth. Okay, next section is the notes. They talk about what accounting methods they used and talk a little bit more about the business. And here finally is the auditor's report. And it just says, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly the financial position of the company. So you want that auditor report to say that. If they don't say that, then you're in trouble, and then you know something's wrong. Okay. All right. So the last thing I want to tell you is, in America, we use GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. That's rule-based, whole bunch of rules that we have to follow. And that's what you're going to learn in class. But there's also a different set of rules called International Financial Reporting Standards. We don't follow those. We follow what's called GAAP. But as you go on in accounting, and if you ever work at a big company, it may have offices in other countries that would have slightly different accounting reporting requirements. In many ways, they're similar, but there are some big differences. So we answer to GAAP in the United States. The goal is to combine those methods, make sort of a compromise, but it hasn't happened yet. And it's been about 15 years. Okay. All right. All right. So that pretty much, so as far as getting you guys ready for homework, I would say review the homework problems. If you've already done them, great. I think the big risk with doing online homework is because you get multiple tries on the homework, there's always that risk that you'll just keep trying until you get the right answer, but you won't put it up here. So give yourself time to learn the homework while you do it. And that's why I say do it by hand first if you can take the time to do that. Okay. Now the quiz is tomorrow night for the online students. And you'll go, can you see my screen? Does it say quiz there? Okay. So you'll go into quiz, and if I go student view, it's going to tell you requires lockdown browser, and it's going to give you an opportunity. If you haven't watched my videos, it won't let you take the quiz and all of that. So you need to watch the videos, but it's going to give you a chance to download lockdown browser before you start the quiz. So I tell students, give yourself plenty of time to do that. So you'll click on download, and then you'll accept it, install. It's like installing any other program. You have to go through the steps. Then you come back to the quiz, and it'll let you take the quiz. Before you take the quiz, watch the video. It's about 3 minutes long about a lockdown. Have you guys done lockdown before in math? So Nora, the thing you need to know is, for some reason, you have to download it for every class. The fact that you downloaded it for a math class doesn't count. I don't know why. So you'll have to lock it down again. And then the quiz will be released. It's released now. So if you guys want to try to do that, just you don't have to download it, but go into your quiz and just hit start the quiz. It won't start the quiz. It'll tell you you need to download lockdown. Okay. And when you take the quiz, it won't let you take the quiz unless everything else is shut down on your computer. Okay. Because it doesn't want the internet to be up.
Just really quick, we can't use notes for this quiz, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So go ahead and everybody try to get into your quiz. Just see what it says to you. I want to make sure you can get in. And if you want to share your screen, you can. Oops, cancel that.
Yeah, when I start my quiz, it just tells me to download the lockdown browser.
Okay, so see if you can download it right now. If you don't mind, it doesn't take very long. And it should walk you through. You guys get it to work? Henry, did it work? You're not ready to start the quiz, right? Okay. Would you mind sharing your screen with us, Henry, just so people can see what you see? Do you know how to do that, Henry? Oh, you haven't downloaded it yet. He's having trouble with audio. Go ahead and download your lockdown. It won't make you start the quiz. Okay, so anybody else? Nora, what do you see?
I was able to download mine, but I haven't started the quiz yet.
Yeah, don't start the quiz. If you don't mind, share your screen. Can you see?
Okay, let's see.
I think you have to go find lockdown and start it.
Okay. Wait, can you see my screen?
Mm-mm.
Oh wait, hold on. Can you see it now?
Mm-mm.
Oh, let's try this one more time.
So click on share and then click on the screen with lockdown on. There you go.
Okay,
Something's
I think I
happening.
got it.
Okay. Okay, hang on. Just say deny.
Oh,
Just deny.
okay, we'll worry about that later. All right.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, so you clicked on lockdown browser, right? You've
yeah,
already done that?
yeah, I
Okay.
downloaded it.
So now go to your downloads folder and oh, there it is. I can see it over there. Install Respondus over there. So double click on that. If it doesn't show on your desktop, look under download.
All right.
And that's fine.
All right, I went through all this. Is that good?
That's good. Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that all I need to do for it then?
Yeah, now you may have to reboot your system and then go back in the
Okay.
quiz and it should let you. So you can try it and see if it'll let you do it again. Yeah, oh, there you go. Take the quiz. This is great. Thank you so much, Nora. But it's not letting you take the quiz. Why is it not?
Maybe I should just try.
Oh, please click on lockdown. to take this quiz.
Is that what it says?
This quiz. No, you don't want that. You want to take the quiz. And it should be open. And when you hit take the quiz, you go back to that screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may have to shut down the other apps that you have open.
Okay. Just
Oh, that's probably it. Yeah, it doesn't like that. Okay, Jocelyn, thanks for coming. Perfect.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, see you later. I don't know if it'll let you, but we can try. Yeah, it's still not doing it. I know people have gotten it to work, so I'm gonna sign off, but try rebooting your system and it
okay.
should, we'll see if that
Sounds good.
does it. Okay,
Sounds good.
okay. All right. Yes. All right, guys. I will see you guys later. And if for some reason, like Henry, you have to find it and click on it to finish the installation. For some reason you have trouble, don't fret. We'll figure it out and I'll always give you guys extensions, but it should work after this first time. All right.
Okay.
Yay. Okay. See you later.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.